think I'm about to move on to the toughest game to predict of the week. And I just want to put my hands up. Who Dat Nation? Leave me be. Stop cooking me now. We've heard it. We've heard the criticisms. We've watched it. Christian said he needed to see it twice. Well, guess what? We saw it the second time, and it was even better than the first. Derek Carr is playing the best football of his life. It's hard. I mean, you can't really argue with that. And Clint Kubiak looks like he is going to be on the short list for head coaches next year. This is going to be a team to reckon with in the NFC against a lot of people's expectations. Once again, it's kind of showed that it's so hard to predict what's going to happen, especially in these first 2 weeks of the NFL. And this is no different. It's going to be Saints versus the Eagles. And this is in New Orleans. This is in the Superdome, which I think is a huge factor in this game. We've seen how much a Philly crowd can affect, how loud they can be. Well, a New Orleans crowd in that Superdome in a game against an NFC contender, this is going to be a rocking atmosphere. And this is going to be a game that the Saints, importantly, believe that they can win. My concern with the Saints for this season, for a large part of it, was, I thought that they were going to be demoralized having a shell of Derek Carr. He's proved me wrong. But when you don't have an answer at quarterback, and remember, before the season started, this podcast was having discussions about when there will be calls for Spencer Rattler to start. So when you have a team that has got some veterans, they've got some good players, obviously. Alvin Kamara is looking like a totally revitalized version of himself. But when you have these players and you have a team that, with a veteran at quarterback, there's a risk of some disillusionment or, kind of mailing in the season. Well, the exact opposite has happened. This team looks rejuvenated. They totally just blew past the Cowboys in Dallas on Sunday. I mean, I couldn't watch the game live and was just getting updates on it, and I was absolutely floored at what I was hearing, just based on the fact that they scored on – did they score on every drive? And they've – yes. I think up through both weeks now, they've scored every single –
15 of 15. 15 of 15 possessions.
So with that, I mean, with all that said, the Eagles have some serious questions. They're going to be playing on a short week. And, man, I cannot bet against this Saints team right now. I don't like having to bet this game because I think it's going to be difficult to really decide based on how talented that Philadelphia team is and how high we were on them. But I can't bet against this Saints team in good conscience now, especially once I know all of their YouTube accounts are going to come after me. So for our newest fans of the Bulletin Board Sports Podcast and for the correct reasons, I'm picking the Saints to go 3-0 and shock the world with this start to their season against the Eagles.
Yeah, I think obviously I'm going to take the Saints as well, too, for mainly the Philadelphia cannot stop. It seems like they can't stop a nosebleed. They cannot stop the run at all. I think Kamara is going to have a field day with those guys. But the main concerns that we had at the beginning of the year, I think we can all agree, Ryan Ramczyk being out for the season was not a good start to their season. And then you had a rookie coming in. You didn't know what going to play on, Talise Fuaga. And it turns out he's the real deal. He's a stud.
He's looked like one of the best guards in the league now. Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the best tackles. I think he's playing left tackle right now.
Best tackles.
And then if Eric McCoy is actually the highest graded center to date, according to PFF. And if you were to tell me Lucas Patrick was going to have the second highest grade of
that's why I had guard on my mind. Yeah, that's why I had guard on my mind with Fuaga. Lucas Patrick had a 97.2 PFF grade as a guard.
Week two, and then he's number 2 right now among guard centers and tackles as a blocker. So
okay, and other fans wouldn't know. Fans of any other teams watching this podcast, this guy got run out of town in Chicago so hard last year, and it was so affirmative with a team where we still haven't figured out the center position. This guy was dust last season for the Bears at center, and now to just see him go, and it, like I said, I think it comes down to your offensive coordinator can dictate a lot of what your offensive line is able to do and how they're able to play.
And they're helping protection. He's helping out. Right. He's keeping tight ends in line to protect. Trevor Penning, a lot of people had questions for him before this year. Really didn't know if he was going to be a consistent starter in the NFL. He's played well so far. Had a few pancakes in the first couple of weeks. The offensive line is playing outstanding. And then the Eagles just don't have anything to push back against that offensive line so far. So I don't see any reason to see like nothing should change this week because they're playing the Eagles.
Well, the Eagles, or I should say the Saints, have proven themselves to be the most explosive offense in the league through the first 2 weeks. And the Eagles look like an offense that is devoid of explosion without A.J. Brown. When A.J. Brown isn't on that offense, you see how limited it makes them. And, they become a run-first offense. Saquon Barkley was having a great game to start last night. But you can't rely on you're going to become the Giants if you just rely on Saquon Barkley to carry your entire offense or be like the focal point of your offense. They miss A.J. Brown severely in Philadelphia. So I think that also plays a huge factor. And it's the last week. I'm sure Eagles fans, it's so funny looking back on, we were all playing the schedule game. I'm sure Eagles fans had this penciled in as an easy win, even on the road. But now it becomes a game where I think the Saints should be favored. So I'm going to go with the Saints.
And I'll be honest with you, as far as the Eagles, I would be a run-first football team. I mean, I think, on Monday.
With A.J. Brown?
Maybe not with A.J. Brown, but for the time being. It sounds like he's going to be out a couple of weeks. So we'll see on him. But if they wanted to on Monday, they could have ran the ball every play and gained at least 4 or 5 yards, in my opinion. Obviously, you can armchair quarterback the decision making at the end of the football game. But I think we mentioned it multiple times. You could also this show. Sirianni is a problem. I don't think he's a smart football coach. He makes bad decisions, and like, who's expecting Atlanta to put up a ton of points on Monday? Why would you not take a field goal to start that game off? I don't know why you're not in demand of points. It doesn't make sense. And then Kellen Moore, it feels like even when he runs the ball, he wants to pass the ball. I think there's just an overall philosophy issue in Philadelphia that I don't know if they can fix it. And then I had a real question for you. A serious question is Vic Fangio, is his way of conducting a defense, is it outdated? Is it kind of extinct?
I'll just say, when Kirk Cousins took the ball with, what was it, like 40-something?
46, something like that.
He had about 2 minutes left, something like that. When he took the ball, I was like, I've seen this story with Vic Fangio before, going into the ultra-conservative prevent defense, where it's just no question about the shell defense. And I thought I saw an appropriate, I think somebody tweeted it, where they were like, the prevent defense is just great because instead of allowing a touchdown on one very difficult play, you end up allowing a touchdown on 3 to 4 much easier plays. Because that just seems like, it's an NFL game in 2024. If you're leaving guys wide open, guys can catch the ball, guys can run after the catch. This isn't college where a quarterback, may or may not be able to get the ball to the receivers. No, it's the NFL. Any quarterback should be able to get the ball to an open man. So when you just stop playing defense at some level, which the prevent defense kind of feels like it is, I mean, as you said, this, and it goes back to how we talk about the philosophy issues in Philadelphia. This should be a very cohesive system. You should have an offense with Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley. Like you said, they should be able to run the ball effectively. And that offensive line is one of the best in the league, or at least it's marketed as one of the best in the league. And then you have the receivers too, but you should be able to run the ball from the get-go. And after you've run the ball and scored points, take every point you can, especially when you're going to be controlling the ball in a game against another team, is kind of looking at the same thing. You take every point you could get, so then you put that other offense that wanted to run the ball, put them behind, force them to pass. Then you allow Vic Fangio's defense to get more aggressive, you can run the schemes that he wants to run the coverages. You're dictating to the offense the pace of the game. As soon as you get greedy for no reason, or greedy for
like we're trying to run up the score.
The score. I know. I noticed the same thing, and I was watching the game live, and I saw that it was 4th and 4. I think it was 4th and 4 was that first time where they went for it. Yeah, where they went for it. And I said to myself, I was like, Sirianni's going to go for this just because he wants to be that guy, it feels like.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's actually based in any reason. If you're playing against the Chiefs, then and it's the Super Bowl, then maybe you Super Bowl maybe complicates things in terms of just taking the points. But I can understand if you're seriously concerned about the firepower on the other side and you have questions about your defense.
A game against Dallas.
Team at home, if you're a team at home facing another team that you don't expect to be explosive on offense, and
we don't know if Kirk. We don't even know if Kirk can throw it if he can explode off.
He didn't look like it. Yeah, and he didn't look like it at that point when it was 4th and 4 in the first quarter, and they hadn't even taken the ball yet, or if they had, they had already punted it back. I mean, it was just a questionable decision, and you feel like he's making it just to make the decision, just to be the gutsy guy, and it doesn't pay off, and it looks really dumb when you then go for it on 3rd down, and instead of, or I shouldn't say go for it on 3rd down, instead of running the ball to keep that clock moving,
run the ball
to get closer to winning the game. They forced the pass. They got cute, and it went horribly wrong. There was a 1% chance that everything could go horribly wrong, and Nick Sirianni made that 1% chance happen. So when you have a coach like that, it's going to be a negative for me. And we talked about it from the beginning that we have serious questions about how far Nick Sirianni can take this team. So I think with that, I'm going to have to take the Saints at home.
Absolutely. And I just don't know anything about this defense. I was very hopeful for Zach Vaughn. He has looked all right, but Nakobe Dean, still ton of questions on him. That linebacking question still seems unanswered there.
Smith,
Quinyon still is. Yeah, Nolan Smith as well. And then Quinyon Mitchell, he's still a rookie. I mean, he's still got some things to learn. Kirk Cousins took advantage of him. I don't see how Clint Kubiak and Derek Carr don't take advantage of the same defense.
Yeah. I mean, especially once we saw that they were able to move the ball on a defense like Dallas at will. I don't know what they'll do to an Eagles defense that's kind of out of sorts. The Dallas defense felt pretty confident with themselves and going into last week, and they ended up allowing a score on every drive.
Going in.
I'll be curious to see how the Saints handle this game, but they became a team that's much more interesting to me once they took their dominance from the Panthers and then put it on the Cowboys.